All right, welcome back to Boring Land. Nick here, and I'm bringing a review to you today, not a reaction. I am reviewing the highly requested, holy cow, I may need to have two screens of this, the highly requested SRK film, Swades. Now, in English, we would say Swades. The E at the end makes the a long A sound, and plural, Swades. I don't know if that's how it's pronounced in Hindi, or whatever language it originates in. So I'm guessing Swades. Let me know, as you always do. You're always very kind and very respectful about my pronunciation abilities. But this was an SRK film that, again, like I keep saying, heavily requested. You all love this movie. I saw it was available on one of the streaming services that I have. 3 hours long. You know, it doesn't bother me whatsoever. It just takes a little more time to get it watched. But when I watched it, you know, I had a sick child at home that I was taking care of, so I had time to check it out. And I was excited about that. So I reacted to Diwali, and man alive, did I decide, or did I realize that was a big mistake, not one of the favorites of SRK. So, you know, licked my wounds a little bit and listened to your request, and I watched Swades. So here are my thoughts. I am going to start off right off the bat. Okay? Here it comes. I'm wearing a Superman shirt for a reason. Because Superman is a man of steel. He's very strong. He's impervious to everything. And I'm hoping it brings me a little bit of luck, a little bit of invincibility. Because I'm going to say right off the bat, I did not love this movie. Okay? I did not. And it's okay if you disagree with me. I know so many of you are. But as always, believe it or not, I'm always honest with my reviews. I have given so many favorable reviews of the movies I watched and grades because I truly liked them. If I gave it a grade A, I loved the movie. If I gave it a B, I really liked the movie. But this was not my favorite of the movies I've seen. And I'm going to talk about, obviously, why. But let me start off with the things I really liked, because this is not a bad film whatsoever. I really liked SRK's performance in this movie. I really liked the performance of the actress that played Geeta, Gayatri Joshi. She did a fantastic job. I really liked the performance of Kishori Bilal, who played Kaveri, the other mother. The SRK's character Mohan, she played his additional mother. I thought the performances were very, very strong. I really got into the village and the whole setup of this village, which definitely outdated as far as modern capabilities, as far as electricity, as far as transportation, and so many things that we take for granted here, especially in the States. I really liked getting that part of the culture. I felt like it was really authentic. And as an educator, I love to learn. And so I learned a lot about that type of culture. I know that's not everywhere in India. India is such a diverse place, such a huge place. But I did like learning about that and watching that. I really liked the story. I did. Overall, I liked the story. I liked how a lot of the characters in there, you got to go deep into those characters and learn about their different stories and learn about how Mohan's journey, so to speak, in this movie affected so many different people. And I thought it was cool that NASA was involved. Someone commented when they requested, like, hey, you're wearing a NASA jacket, you should watch this movie. NASA's involved to a certain degree. And it is. SRK character Mohan, he works for NASA, works in the States. So I will get into the things I didn't like after we kind of recap the story. So in this movie, Mohan, he is living in America. He's got a job with NASA, a very important job. They're working on the satellite to send up. It's a very big project. And he is getting very homesick. Not really homesick, but parent sick. Both his parents had passed away, and it was the anniversary of their death. And so he was just really struggling, understandably so. And so he was really thinking about his additional mother, this woman that took care of him as he grew up, that he considered to be an additional mother. Not a replacement mother, but just a second mother. And so he really wanted to reconnect with her. And so I don't know if it was his boss or his partner, his assistant, who this guy was. He was also Indian. He said, we'll talk to John, the guy in charge here, and we don't have to launch for another 5 weeks, so we'll see if we can get you 2 weeks. You can go back to India, and you can reconnect with this lady. And so that's what the whole movie is. He goes back, and he's reconnecting with her. He meets Geeta, who he knew when he was younger. She's got a kid. She's a teacher. I love that. At a local school in this village where electricity always goes on and off. It's not reliable. I'm not even sure if they had running water in the village. Obviously, no, they didn't because of what happened at the end. But he's kind of Americanized to a certain degree. He hasn't forgotten the language or anything, but he's definitely Americanized, and he's not used to a village of this degree. But he goes there to reconnect with Miss Kaveri, and this is where our story takes place and begins. He automatically is attracted to Geeta. She's not so much attracted to him. And so they have this kind of back and forth in the entire movie. And this is my biggest complaint. And again, this is a personal complaint. This is not really an attack on the film. I got to be honest. This is my reviews. I would say 70% of them are how I was entertained and how I felt about the movie. I don't need explosions to necessarily always be entertained. I don't need fight scenes to necessarily be entertained. Sometimes if fight scenes aren't done well, they're out of place in a movie, it's going to take me out of a movie. I don't need comedy necessarily. I don't mind slower movies. I don't mind them at all. I love the movie Wide Earp. That's a 3-hour movie. And the OK Corral scene with the gunfight, that's not until the very, very end. Okay? I have nothing wrong with slower movies. I think they're actually even better. I love The Joker. Very slow movie. Not a whole lot happens in that movie. But with this movie, it's somber. It's slower. It's just not what I expected it to be. And again, the performance, there was nothing wrong with the performance. But for me, it was so highly requested. I think my expectations were maybe just a little too high. And I don't mind slow movies, but when they are hard for me to keep the attention, especially the first hour and 10, 15 minutes like this one was, then that affects my overall experience of the film. I will say it does pick up in the middle of the second act to the third act. Those acts are much better. I was really touched when he goes to the farmer who owes Miss Kaveri some money, and we have that whole scenario. That was very touching. I felt like that was authentic to certain parts of India, and even here, for crying out loud, we definitely have some poverty areas all over the place in every state in the United States here. And I thought that was touching. I thought that was very interesting. He really shows his acting skills when he's really affected by the fact that this guy can't even provide food for his kids, let alone pay back where he feels he's obligated to and he knows he's supposed to, and he feels so down on himself where he lost his job or he had to change jobs because he couldn't control the situation, and then the water wasn't there, and he's really stuck between a rock and a hard place. That was incredibly touching. I really liked the character that plays his friend, who wants to open up a restaurant in America. I thought he was very enjoyable and very lighthearted. I did enjoy this movie to a certain degree. I just didn't love it. It's not one of my favorites by far. And the end scene with the whole pipeline with the water, I felt like that was just, they got a lot done in a short amount of time. Now, he stayed there longer than the 2 weeks, obviously. He was there 4, 5, 6 weeks, quite a while. But he didn't start this pipeline until later on. And I felt like, man, that's a lot of work to get done in that short amount of time. And not just that, but he basically paid for all the materials with his own money. I mean, he must have been really, really rich to be able to afford all of that. I felt like that was just a little too unrealistic. And I know a lot of you that love this film, you're going to be like throwing tomatoes at your screen right now. Like, really? That's what you're knocking on? No, that's not the only reason why I didn't love this movie. But that was a part where, like, wow, this is a lot going on in a short amount of time with very little means. There was parts that were kind of sad, and sad is not a bad thing. But when they're watching the film, I love, me loving movies. I love that the whole village comes together for a film, even though it's a film they've all seen a million times. But it was sad that you had the one, I don't know if it's cast or class or just group of people that are more revered on the one side where you can see it the right way, and then the other class or cast or whatever group that's not as well revered on the back side. They're just used to it. They all sit down, even the adults, they're sitting down there, they're watching the film. It was this is a very interesting film. I will say that. I learned a whole lot. Fictional, obviously, but I learned a whole lot. It just didn't wow me. I just didn't love this film. But as always, I'm going to be honest with you. I really am. I wanted to have someone else, Born Reviews, review this with me. But like I said, or maybe I haven't said it yet, a lot of them have fallen ill. They're getting sick. And so they couldn't make it. They didn't have a chance to check it out because I usually have a few of them watch different ones. And then we come together in groups of 2 and we talk about it. I really wanted to get someone else's opinion. And I think that would have really helped me understand if they really liked it, why they really liked it. Let me know why it's your favorite. Is it just because overall as a film you feel like it's a very powerful film? And if you think that way, I understand that. I ultimately love films, but I have nothing against those over-the-top cheesy films like Boggy. And a lot of you are going to say, you love Boggy, but you didn't love this. Are you crazy? You must just not like good films. I love good films. I really do. I think Joker this year is a really good film. Gully Boy this year is a really good film. It really is. But it entertained me just a lot more than the other ones. I was more invested than this one with the other ones. I love good films. My favorite film of all time, spoiler alert if I do a top 10, is Rocky. Now, there is fighting, but not a lot of fighting in Rocky. It's more the story, his journey, the underdog story. I love that plot of the underdog story. And you can kind of do the opposite with this. Like, he was an underdog being a city boy coming to this village and having the odds stacked against him. I liked the romantic part, but again, I felt like that was too quick and too easy. She was so annoyed with him the entire time, and then it flipped like a switch. I like more of a natural progression. Especially in a 3-hour movie, we could have had more of a natural progression with that. Was it just me that I was just rooting for him to go back to his awesome job in NASA? Maybe that's because I'm an American. I don't know. But I understand why he wanted to stay with the village. He was impacting way more. I get that completely. He helped them with the electricity, with the water, so they could be more consistent. But I was rooting for him to stay back in America because he had an awesome job. I mean, it's an important job. But he does mention maybe he can work for the space program in India, so I don't know. So those are my thoughts. I mean, they are. I'm going to give this film... It had some good film capabilities. It wasn't my favorite. I didn't hate it, though. I'm going to give this film a C+. I am. I'm going to give it a C+. Not my favorite film. Nothing against SRK or anything like that. I'm sure Del Wally was probably an F or something, according to what you guys are saying. But I am excited to see My Name is Khan. That one looks really, really interesting. And again, you guys have told me that it's basically based on situations that already affected him having the last name of Khan and flying to the United States. But those are my thoughts on Swades. I gotta always be honest with you. I'm hoping that you appreciate that. And just to explain myself, because I know I'm going to be asked, how do you not like this one as much? How can you give Boggy an A-? You give this a C+? What's going on? It's how the movie entertained me, how I was affected by it. And ultimately, that's a big part of my grade. Yes, there's some film capabilities that are involved. But did I respond to this film? Did I react to this film? Did this film entertain me either in a high octane way or in a slow burn that I just really felt, hey, that was really nice? For me, this was kind of neither of those. Kind of in the middle, C+, average score, a little above average. If you're familiar with American grades, a C is an average score. So C+, above average. Just not a great film in my opinion. Now, let me know in the comments, not how much you hate me, because I'm already expecting that. But let me know in the comments what you love about this film. We can agree to disagree, and we can still be part of Boring Land and move forward. No problem. But as always, I appreciate you guys. If you appreciate my thoughts, go ahead and give me a thumbs up to outweigh a lot of those thumbs down that are coming. And let's be respectful and loving in the comments as always. But until next time, adios.